So welcome to Consulting Business School for this week, and may I first say I hope you are well and healthy and staying safe, and also that your business, whether it's been going for a while or it's just a startup, is coping. So we're going to talk about a couple of things in relation to coping and the coronavirus this week. Coming right up. So I'm trying to avoid just doing coronavirus videos. I mean, you get a bit sick of it, don't you, on social media? Everyone's putting a coronavirus twist on everything. But I kind of didn't want to just keep doing, standard business topics and things like that. It's like, doesn't this guy know that there's coronavirus is around? So it's a happy balance, I suppose, a fine balance. So I just want to talk this week about some of the things that are happening in our business as a result of the coronavirus, and it may help you with your business. So whilst you're on Consulting Business School channel, you may or may not know that my main business is a management consulting business based in Australia and Southeast Asia. We work in the field of supply chain and logistics for big corporates. That business is called Logistics Bureau. So how have we been impacted? Obviously, there has been a bit of an impact on our traditional face-to-face consulting work. So we're a very traditional management consulting company, not a coaching company. But what we found is that over a 2 to 3 week period, like everyone's doing at the moment, we did a pivot and we looked at all of the core services that people really need right now and how we would deliver those remotely, because obviously we're all in lockdown at home. We're not quite in lockdown yet in Sydney, depending where you're watching this, but I hope we are next week because they're being a little bit slow in Australia. We don't want to get caught out. So let's assume we're in lockdown by the time you're watching this. So we're actually doing all of our consulting services from home now. And what we're finding is that we can deliver probably about 90% of the services that we used to. Just got to use a bit of imagination. So we always used, teleconferencing and things like that. But now every meeting is on teleconferences. Our virtual staff are really expert at putting all of those together. So it's no strain on us at all. We probably refocused our services a little bit to make them, kind of not as broad, not as complicated, simplified them a bit so they're much easier to deliver remotely. But hey, it's business as usual. In fact, during a meeting on Friday with a very large retail customer here in Australia, one of the directors turned around and said, because there's planned stages for the project we're working on. We're coming to the end of a big stage 1, and then there's going to be another big stage 2. He said, thanks for the email I got during the week. It's good to know that you guys are, still able to fully support us 100%. So, that's a tip. If you haven't already gone out to your client base, and I'm sure you have by now, for the odd people who haven't, you need to be reassuring them that it's business as usual for you, or it's business as usual for 90% of what you do. So that's really important. You've got to keep things ticking over. So if you haven't pivoted already, some people struggle with this. What you do, you've really got to get out of the mindset of what you normally do. Now, depending on what sort of consultant or coach you are, it may be that you deliver a lot of services remotely anyway and online. If you're more of a traditional management consultant like we are, where you're working with the clients face-to-face and on their sites and all the rest of it, you've actually just got to totally forget that and think, okay, how are we going to provide that service in a different way? So let me give you an example of that. One of the services that we provide is benchmarking peer groups. And that's in another consulting business that I own called Benchmarking Success. And what they do is they get groups of between 8 and 12 companies together. They meet 4 times a year to discuss business issues, and a really great sort of peer support program and business improvement program. And we're just relaunching elements of that. And the guy who was running it said, well, we'll have to put that on the back burner for 6 months, won't we? I said, no, we'll deliver it online. I said, but, we have to get 12 people in a room. I said, forget that, that's not going to happen. You have to be able to deliver this remotely. So tell me how you're going to do it. And after a while, he came back and said, Yeah, we can do it. There's no point in having a full day workshop because that's going to be a real struggle remotely, but we're going to schedule it slightly differently, and we'll do it using Zoom or Teams and stuff like that. Just restructure it, and hey, it's going to be really effective. So sometimes, depending on what you're doing, there are. I was actually talking. I have a business coach. I was talking to them last night. You've got to have business coaches. I think I've always had them, and we're putting a webinar together, and he was walking me through the sort of steps of the webinar, and he said, there are two kinds of people. There are action takers, and there are people who basically bury their heads in the sand. There are some who will step up, and there's some who run away. So I ask you that, are you stepping up to this challenge? Are you innovating in your marketing? Are you pivoting your services to deliver them in a different way? Or if you just put your head in the sand and you're thinking, I'll wait this out. I'll tell you what will happen if you do that. All of your competitors are up there pivoting and doing new stuff and being relevant to their clients and being very visible. And if you're not, you're going to disappear. So if I can give you that one tip, do not roll up in a ball in a huddle and think you're going to sit through this over the next few months. Be active. So what are the things that you can do? Well, as an example, back in early February, we ramped up our marketing budget about 50%. Now, what normally happens in a crisis? People start cutting costs. First thing to go is their marketing budget. No, absolutely not. That's the first thing you put up because you want to be more visible than your competition. So we are pumping out more articles and videos and blog posts than ever before. And of course, they're all with a relevance to what people are dealing with now. And that's a bit of an issue, because just don't keep doing the same old stuff. I see it particularly on Facebook with coaches. They're there talking about, if you want to do an ebook, we can teach you how to do that. Or, if you want to do this thing, we can help you do that. But it's all stuff they were doing 6 months ago. You've got to be relevant to now. So, if you haven't already done this, you should be sitting down. I did this last week for a webinar that I'm going to run. I sat down and I whiteboarded like 50 things that my clients are struggling with right now that they weren't struggling with a month ago. And then what we're doing is we're putting a webinar together to help them with that. So if you're not doing that kind of thing, get off your butt and do it. Sorry. And make sure that even if you're not bringing in new clients at the moment, you're staying relevant to your client base. You're bringing in more contacts. You're building your profile and your brand. Depending what it is that you do, it may be very difficult to sell your services at the moment, but you'll be able to in a few months. So keep building the brand, keep being relevant, keep being out there, because if you don't, you're going to kind of disappear off the map. What else is happening? So I suppose the other big change, as well as a management consulting company, I own an outsourcing center in the Philippines. So if you want to know anything about virtual assistants and things, jump across to one of my other channels, which is Virtual Done Well. And I've just done a video over there about what our virtual staff are doing differently than they were last month. And so no surprise, they're doing a lot more online marketing. So, they're helping me with all of the publishing of new articles and videos and all the rest of it. So they're probably busier than they've ever been, to be honest. They're helping set up all my remote conferencing. Actually, you should go and have a look at that channel, because if you're running a coaching or consulting business and you don't have virtual assistants, you should. That channel's been going for about a year, and there's heaps of stuff on there. So do go and get some tips. Anyway, I've rambled along. You can tell that this was totally unprepared this week. I'm sitting at home. Maybe that's partly the reason. I don't feel like corporate very much. I'm not in the office. But I just wanted to share a few things with you. And I suppose the key one for me is whatever's happening in your business, if you're seeing sales nosedive, don't stick your bloody head in the sand. Stick it above the parapet, to use that old term, and be visible, be relevant, be helpful to your market. Because even if they're not in a position to buy your stuff now, they will be very soon. Okay, so wishing you all the best of luck. Stay healthy, wash your hands, do whatever you got to do, and talk to you next week. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, that red thing down there, and the bell, and that way you get notified every time a new video comes out, and generally on a Wednesday. I've got a lot more time to do videos now. I'm at home, so maybe we'll do a couple a week. See you soon.